Is Warhammer 40k dying? It's not a simple answer. You can look at it from multiple angles. And from one angle, you will see a lot of negativity around the game and a lot of reasons for saying, yes, the game is dying. But on the other hand, there's a lot of evidence to point towards the game not dying. What can we see? What that is evidence for 40k is stronger than ever before, better than ever before, going from strength to strength. So one thing that you could point to is some of the tournament data. We are over a year into this new edition, and yet every week we see a general increase in the number of players going to tournaments. In fact, player numbers and the competitive scene has never looked healthier. We used to say that like a busy week in the Meta Mondays was it when you got like above 700 players. 600 to 700 players is very much the normal. The normal used to be 5 to 6, now it's 6 to 7, and now we have seen several weeks in a row, but almost or over 800 players, just normal weekends. Looking at things from like the big picture perspective, drawing in from my own personal experience for a moment as well. There's always a 40k tournament on, and I know several game stores around me that survive. They absolutely survive. And a huge part of their revenue and their business model comes from hosting regular tournaments. And those tournaments, regular events, and a big part of those events being like, Just Play will run like an Old World event or Heresy event, and they'll get between half a dozen and a dozen people that turn up. Sometimes it's a little bit more, but they'll run a 40k event, and pretty much always they're going to sell that thing out. And they're gonna reach their capacity of like 24 people. Likewise with Element Games, there's always a 40k GT every month at Element Games, pretty much. Sometimes it's every other month, but there's so many 40k events just in and around. And that's just my one small area. You've then got examples of things like in businesses which are just 40k tournaments. Look at the UKTC tournament scene, London Grand Tournament, Birmingham Grand Tournament, all of those Grand Tournaments that have got like basically all the super majors in the UK. There's one every single month in a different location around the UK. There's one every single month. These events have 400, 500 plus 40k players attending them. Sometimes it's like the venue's a bit smaller, it might be 250, but we're looking minimum 250 players. For the London Grand Tournament, we're looking 450, 500 tournament players. All of those events, all of those super majors are run by one company, and they are always pretty much sold out, and they're always very well attended. So looking at it from like, how is the tournament scene thriving? It is going from strength to strength. And there are businesses which are going from strength to strength. There are businesses that are relying upon 40k tournaments and 40k attendance and the 40k community to keep going. And that model sales aren't enough. They need this other extra revenue stream. So if you look at it from sort of that perspective, 40k definitely isn't dying. 40k is definitely thriving. But there is a different side to this story. The negative chatter around 40k is definitely louder than the positive chatter. Maybe this is just people venting. Maybe there's a bit of perception bias. When things are all okay, people don't really feel the need to go online and make like Reddit post about it or start a thread on like a forum or something. The general perception is that 40k, the rules commentary, is like as long as the core rules now. You've got the fact that the game constantly seems to be changing. You've got the fact that there are, a lot of people say multiple factions are broken at the moment and just don't feel fun to play. There is definitely a lot of chatter about people saying like 40k is being oversimplified and being like dumbed down. So I would say if you only read about Warhammer 40k online, your perception would be of the game one that is very, very bad. And your perception of the game would be that like the competitive scene is dying. Armies are boring. It's the same factions dominating every 5 seconds. Like, you know, there's a lot of negative waves that are being thrown out around the game. And to be honest, not all of these negative points that are raised are without their own merit. The game does change a lot, and for many people, for where this is a hobby, where this is one of maybe a few things that they do, the game changing that much is a problem. And it's for people who are absolutely locked into the game, that know life it. This pace of change, we should say, is very welcome, because weirdly, I wish the game would change even more. That's mad, right? But yeah, I love it when it stays fresh and interesting. But I go to a tournament every weekend, pretty much. If I go 2 weeks without going to a tournament, it's a slow period for me. So I love it constantly updating and changing, because I like that. Helps me keep the game fresh. But going back to sort of the negative side of things, the game is changing a lot. And if you're not locked in, that is going to be a highly frustrating negative game experience. Imagine if you are someone that started 40k with 10th edition. There will be many people in this chat who will be in that camp. Now imagine that you started 40k 10th edition with Deathwatch. You're going to be quite pissed off if you've just spent the last year building up 2,000 to 3,000 points of Deathwatch, getting it all built and lovingly painted, only to find out that your faction is now soft squatted. That's a really, really negative game experience. And speaking of things getting squatted and whatnot, we have seen something in 10th edition. Which we've not seen in where GW is actually contracting not only model lines, but also seriously contracting factions as well. So Harlequins, I didn't even realize this. I was like, where have all the Harlequin players gone? It turns out that Harlequins, day 1 of 10th edition, got soft squats, got fucking folded into Index Eldar, made terrible, no one uses them anymore. I didn't even know that. And then we've had the same thing happen with Deathwatch. And we've had a lot of consolidation, and we can see there definitely being other areas of future consolidation as well. We've also seen a huge amount. So not only have we seen like factions being restricted, we've seen a huge amount of stuff getting legends. Now it very well may be that this is just GW streamlining, becoming more efficient, but generally companies don't, and I'm speaking very much out of my arse now, I could be very wrong here. If you have a greater experience on this, let me know. But applying some form of logic, even if it is flawed, generally companies don't restrict and contract stuff if they think they're going to be going from like strength to strength. They just expand, grow, expand. See what I mean? But we do get a lot of reveals, a lot of releases from Games Workshop, don't get me wrong, but there's also a lot for everything that gets released. It feels like 1 or 2 things get legends. We don't sell that anymore. I mean, looking over the last couple of editions of what's happened to the guard range, especially looking at things like Forge World, we lost, but even looking at main GW, we lost all of the old regiments of renown. We've lost so much stuff from Forge World, it's not even funny anymore. And that's just one faction. Like, yeah, maybe we've lost multiple factions within Guard. We like Elysians, full standalone army, they've gone. Lately they went a long time ago, but that's just, and maybe aren't relevant to this conversation, but it's just a quick example off the top of my head. Okay, so maybe these are indications of GW, streamlining, or maybe it's an indication that behind the scenes GW is GW is not doing, or Warhammer is not doing as well as it once was. I think that could be argued back and forth. Many arguments could be picked in both sides. Many holes could be picked in both sides' arguments. Because look at how much new shit has come out with 10th edition. Look at the whole Tyranid range refresh, new scouts. There's a lot of, like I said, for everything that I'm saying has been legends, you can probably point to one thing that is one new thing that's come out. But there is also the argument that the reveals have been a lot less enticing recently as well. I think the counter argument to that might be that they've just been spreading the reveals out a little bit more. But there's one thing that I think is a real hot topic. More so than ever, people are talking about the price of 40k. This has been discussed to death 100 times than myself. 40k prices being high are always just a staple of 40k bitching and moaning, right? I think even if you can argue logically that they are in line with inflation, all this kind of stuff, I think the reality of the situation is that for me personally, and for many people that I talk to, this links back into something else we were talking about before, and for a lot of people you see online, it feels like there is an ever-increasing amount of people who are priced out of this hobby. And this links back into what I was saying earlier with how a lot of stores in my area have changed their business model in recent years. It is no coincidence that these stores have switched over to relying on events for in many cases to keep going or to grow and expand. I don't think for a lot of local hobby stores, selling models alone is enough anymore. Even though the models have never been more expensive, it's not enough anymore. I think the reason why we see so many move over is because not only is there a demand for it, it's a lot easier to persuade someone to spend, 15 to 20 quid on a tournament ticket for an entire day of fun playing three games in a day, or 40 quid or 50 quid for ticket for a whole weekend of 40k, than it is to try and convince that same person to buy half a box of intercessors. We're seeing so many people getting priced out of the hobby. I am someone who literally does 40k for 90% of my living, both personally and professionally, and I'm in the position where, I can say 40k, 40k is a business expense. That's a legit one. I'm not bullshitting you guys or anything like that. And I still, with those advantages, don't buy anything new from GW. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. There have been, over the last 2 or 3 years, multiple times when I have gone, that's a really cool idea for an army. I'm going to go and price it up. And maybe I'll start looking at some models and I won't even get halfway through. I might get a quarter of the way through before I go, fuck man, I'm looking at like 400, 500 pounds this idea. And this is just for one list, which I thought would be kind of cool for like a tournament after action report. Like, oh yeah, I want to run like a full Adeptus Arbites army, mounted up, rhinos, the whole 9 yards, super fucking cool. Oh, wait, yeah, no, it's like 40 quid per Arbites box. Oh, okay, and it's like 30 quid per Rhino. Oh, okay, so for one squad, I gotta spend like 70 quid, and I need 6 of those. So that's like 420 pounds right there, and I haven't even got to the tanks like that I might want to run with this, and the characters. Oh, shit, man, yeah. It's crazy. So, but in the same period of time, I have gone from having 0 bot action armies to 6. And in the last 9 months, I have gone from having 0 Warhammer Fantasy armies to 4 in 9 months. But I didn't buy any of that shit from GW. I either got stuff on store credit using like prize support and stuff, or I got stuff, or I got it all from my 3D printer. Is 40k dying? Ostentiously, I'm going to say no. Because let's just look at what I just said. On the one hand, no, because there's never been more players, tournaments are larger and larger, the community is really, really fucking healthy, and the game is constantly evolving and staying fresh and staying interesting. Okay, like I would definitely say this. There has never been a better time to play Warhammer 40k. You will always be able to find a game. There is a never-ending amount of content for you to consume, a never-ending amount of lore for you to consume. There's multiple side industries that exist around this, and the tournament scene is going from strength to strength, and the balance has never been better. It has never been a better time to play 40k, and from the perspective of playing 40k, It is really fun. It's more balanced than it ever has been. GW is more in tune than it ever has been. There's so many reasons to enjoy playing the physical game. But collecting 40k, physically going out and getting the models, physically going out and building armies and getting involved in like hobby projects, that's where I actually think, weirdly, I think 40k is struggling now. I'm not saying GW is specifically struggling. Okay, they keep recording record profits, fair enough. But I would say that in terms of for the every man on the street, and from our perspective on this, I think collecting 40k, buying boxes, buying stuff new in box, that side of the hobby definitely seems to be, well, if not dying, it's certainly not living its best life anymore. That is my assessment on where I think 40k is right now, and trying to answer, is 40k dying? Of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think. Am I on the button, or are there a lot of things that I've missed? A lot of the stuff that I'm drawing upon to form this opinion is anecdotal evidence from my own experience. And own experiences can be very valuable, but they can also have very limited perspective. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.